Welcome to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda. Over the years, propaganda has constantly name-dropped the band NoMeansNo into their list of great influences. Todd, Beeve, and Jord have repeatedly been cited as absolutely loving NoMeansNo. On Propaganda's album bio for their supporting cast LP, the band cites their major influences: Voivod, Rush, NoMeansNo, SNFU, Sacrifice, Razor, and Guilt Parade. In 2009, George Samoleski wrote for Modern Drummer magazine, "Around this time I was really getting into the underground punk and metal scene in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Taking the bus into the big city from Portage la Prairie, I was exposed to a ton of amazing drummers from Western Canada who didn't get any above-ground accolades. Some of them, including Ted Sim of SNFU, John Card of DOA, John Wright of NoMeansNo. What impressed me was the originality and diversity of the underground scene between 1985 and 1992. There were no corporate tentacles coming down to co-opt and covert this kind of music into something that could potentially sell candy bars, cars, and war to mindless consumers. To think of heavy music getting commercial airplay around this time was unthinkable." So this episode is really special for me because I got the opportunity to interview John Wright from NoMeansNo, who is getting back into live and recorded music with his new band Dead Bob. So I reached out to members of Propaganda to tell me what they thought of NoMeansNo. Todd said, "My favorite personal memory was seeing them on the Day Everything Became Nothing tour in Regina, Saskatchewan. I was front row for quite a while. I remember John wearing an SNFU shirt at that one, and I loved his unique way of playing and being on stage. I did the longest and best stage dive of my young life that night. It was a truly amazing show. There was another great moment where Rob kicked a guy really hard in the ass when he wouldn't get off the stage and was standing right in front of him. I found that strangely enjoyable. It was also great to meet Andy in Amsterdam. Meeting one of my true heroes is really awesome. I'd also like to add that the lyrics of Forget Your Life are often in my head, especially the line that says, 'If you cringe and sink inside but say nothing to no one.' I can't tell you how many times I've thought that, especially since I truly do say nothing to no one. Tell John, thanks for the tunes, he's a true inspiration." Jord was traveling when I reached out for comment, but he got back to me and he said, "Yeah man, NoMeansNo was a very special band to me. Amazing." Beeve said, "I've loved this band since the moment I heard them. Their playfulness with music has always been a massive influence." Chris said, "I thought they were awesome. I started seeing them in the late 80s here in Winnipeg." For this interview with John, I pulled tons of quotes from years of interviews with Propaganda members where NoMeansNo got mentioned, and I used the band's own words to get John to tell his story in his way. So in a way, this interview is me just using the words of Propaganda to hear the story in music with one of their major influences. Consider this an episode, a sort of complimentary conversation in a way to the conversations we had with Joe Rico and Rob Urbaniti of Sacrifice way back on episode 11. John Wright played drums for years with NoMeansNo, sang for the Hanson Brothers, toured for decades, influenced countless punk and hardcore fans the world over. He has a new band, Dead Bob, and their record Lifelike is out now. Dead Bob will be playing shows, so go check them out if you get a chance. Without further delay, here's my conversation with John Wright. John Wright, welcome to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda.
Hello.
Hey, John. It's so great that you're here. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you coming on to chat about my niche Prairie's Western Canadian punk band podcast that I have here. It's great to have another Western Canadian punk rock musician on board. So thanks for being here.
Oh, no worries. Yes, about as Western as you can get.
Yeah.
Hailing from, NoMeansNo, of course, hailing from Victoria originally.
Mm-hmm.
So out on the Pacific Ocean.
I love it. I love it. Well, John, I want to chat about your last sort of 9 or 10 years briefly to begin with, if that's okay.
Yep.
In 2015, Todd from Propagandy went on Facebook and he wrote, "The time has come to say goodnight to true punk legends NoMeansNo, who are retiring from an amazing career as one of the greatest bands ever. We often use NoMeansNo career as a reference for our decisions. They always operated with a sense of integrity, stayed true to themselves musically, and in a way they dealt with the nuts and bolts of everything. Rest in peace to the true old schoolers." So those are the direct words of Todd Kowalski, the bass player of Propagandy.
Oh,
And so I was wondering,
kind words.
amazing, right? Like his adoration and respect for your career really shows through, I think. The fact that he took the time to do that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So what I'm curious about is, since Todd wrote that post in 2015 announcing the retirement of No Means No, I'm curious about what your life has been like from 2015 sort of until the present day, because you've had several projects that have happened in the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we kind of wound it down. I think it was in 2014, we ended up being inducted into the Breakout West, or the Western Canadian Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps a minor house, but but definitely it was nice. It's always nice to be recognized by people for your efforts and your work. So and that was the last time we had performed. We did a kind of an unplugged thing, since we were way too fucking loud for that kind of broadcast.
Yeah.
But and then yeah, so it was around after that we were pretty much decided it was done. My brother was he started a family late in life, let's
Yeah.
say. And right now his son is, I think, just turned 13,
Cool.
and his daughter 11. So and he's going to be turning 70.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was time to wind things down from his perspective. But for me, I kind of ended up moving out of the Lower Mainland and coming up to Lund. As I mentioned before you started recording, is at the very end of the road, the Highway 101,
Yeah.
as far as you can drive on the coast, the west coast of the North American mainland. And beautiful up here, absolutely gorgeous. And it was kind of the first time, actually, I'd split up with my wife, and I had separated from the mother of my children years earlier, and my kids were growing up, and I moved up here and was living alone for the first time ever in my life, living in my place up here. And boy, it's amazing what you can get done when you're all by yourself.
It is, for sure. I live alone too. I went through a similar experience a couple of years ago myself.
Yeah, and this was a brand new experience for me at that time. So I got very busy with music still, or was still busy with music, as I was approached by a band of robots called
Yeah.
Compressor Head from Berlin. They were big Hanson Brothers fans, actually, the main fella, and well, all the fellas, and yeah, they kind of wanted me to write some punk rock for them. So I kind of dove right into that. And that was around 2014, 2015. So I got pretty involved with that musically. And that was kind of what I transitioned into when No Means No was over. And that was an amazing project. But unfortunately, the humans got in the way. And the band broke apart
Yeah.
in just after we'd finished the album, and that was unfortunate. But the end of that story is the main fella, Frank, in Berlin, is resurrecting the robots, and so I'm hoping to see them and do some more work with them next year.
Wonderful.
But in the meanwhile, also I've been brewing beer
Yeah.
for, well, I guess 32-3 years now, and as an amateur, and love doing it. And there was a possibility of becoming a brewer up here where I live, up north in Powell River. Powell River is sort of the main town. It's about half an hour south of where I am. And a pub came for sale, and I had some friends who wanted to partner up, and so we ended up buying a pub with the hopes of turning it into a brew pub. And then that utterly consumed me at that time.
Yeah.
We bought it in 2017, and just the last thing I did with the robots was that year. And then that was that. I was now a pub owner and went through a major renovation, and it was a very interesting time in that respect.
Yeah.
A lot of building. I also like to build, and I'm a sort of amateur, not woodworker, but I like working with wood, like building things, and the whole undertaking of renovating this pub was quite fun for me and amazing. And I ended up doing some more building around my property. It was just this sort of 1.5 years of construction.
Nice. That's kind of
Yeah.
fun though.
So,
Keeps you in shape and active, keeps the body
well,
moving.
yeah, it's a whole other mindset too, and but not unlike the way I write music. They're kind of connected in a way, which we maybe could talk about later. But that took us to the opening of what became the Wildwood Pub, and then that was we opened up in 2019, and then ended up closing in January of this year. So we didn't quite make it 4 years, and just the nature of the business, COVID,
Yeah.
vaccine passports, war. The
Right.
war actually in Ukraine was the death knell for us, because like everywhere, prices went through the roof as soon as gas was, almost $2.50 a liter up here. No one went out for pizza anymore.
Right.
And we had a thing called the vaccine passports up here. I don't know if you had the same thing
Oh
down.
man, I remember because I went to Winnipeg for some propaganda shows in 2021, and they barely let me into the show because I didn't have the Manitoba QR code for the
Right.
for the provincial cards. I had the U.S. cards, which are paper written with pen. They were totally junky, and they were like, "This is fake. You can't come in." And I was like, "No, I swear it's for real."
Yeah, I know. It was all well intentioned, but it was just devastating for the industry.
Yeah.
Because well, up here too, we got a large percentage of, well, I don't know how many really, but a lot of the anti-vaxxers and that sort of stuff, and a lot of these people were our regulars, and they couldn't come, and they never came back.
Yeah.
Some did, but you know what I mean? It was just really devastating all around. I mean, not only the sickness, but just the collateral damage was pretty severe. And
Yeah.
especially for this industry, I think it's bouncing back in a lot of places. But the long and short of it is that by the end of 2022, it was obvious we'd lost too much money and couldn't keep going. We still have the pub; it's still there. So, if there's any wealthy listeners out there, why don't you come on out and get a pub going in Bell River? I'd be
Nice.
happy to help.
When
But
when does Dead Bob music and writing start coming into that process?
so essentially, this, like as I was saying, was quite consuming me. But then COVID came, and like everywhere else, everyone else, I suddenly had time on my hands. Everything calmed down quite a bit at the pub. Of course, we never closed, but it was takeout for a while and all that, blah blah blah. And so I had time, and I had a lot of unfinished songs, demos, stuff that I'd worked on with Rob's, for NoMeansNo, ideas. When I was writing the compressor head stuff, I was also just writing. Like I say, I lived for 2.5 years up here on my own, and it's a lot of time to monkey around. So I did and still do all my demoing and writing on a Mac. I had a Mac with the GarageBand, and which was just an amazing tool to create and work on. And it sort of was also an easy way into the digital world of recording. And eventually with the robots, I had to get Logic Pro to export MIDI and export WAV files and all that sort of stuff. So it was a whole big learning experience and writing experience. So COVID comes along. As I mentioned, I built some stuff around my property, including a workshop, which I was doing some woodworking in. And I realized, I could set my drums up here. I really
Yeah.
hadn't played my drums much for years, and literally, I've never had my drums set up where I live.
Hmm.
like since like 1985 or something, or 84. They're always at a practice place and somewhere
Yeah.
else. Uh, so that's what I did. I think I'm going to set up my drums. I'm going to start maybe putting some real drumming to a lot of these demos and these ideas. Because I've been programming drums and using loops and all that stuff to write. So I just kind of went at it. I garnered some rudimentary recording stuff to go with my computer, and that's I just started doing that just as for my own purposes, just for my own satisfaction, to see where these songs would go, and I started liking what I was hearing. I was kind of amazed that the drums actually are sounding good, and it was fun to start finishing a lot of these songs. Um, so I did, and without there was no dead bob in my mind. I mean, I was still embroiled with the pub, still hoping to become a professional brewer,
Yeah.
and but as that was winding down, and then I was finishing stuff, I was going, maybe I should just self-release this. Make an album. I'll make an album and put it out. Again, not really thinking about trying to resurrect a career, so to speak, but just this stuff. I'm going to finish this stuff. I can do it on my own time and my own schedule, and put it out on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how Dead Bob formed, and that was really through the latter part of through 2022, and then as it became obvious that the pub wasn't going to make it, uh, it was a good. I could concentrate more on it, and it was also a good way of getting my mind out of the headspace of the pub, which had become very hard, and lots of anxiety and stress and money and all that stuff, right? The tough stuff, and so putting together the album was like a kind of going back, and I'm doing what I know how to do, what I love to do, and having fun with it. And then it was like, okay, I was working with some people to help finish it, and started talking about, well, maybe playing this live. And as it became more and more obvious that, well, now I'm unemployed, and what am I going to do
Yeah.
now? Probably not going to be a brewer. Maybe I should make a band and see if I can't play some of this stuff live.
Oh man, dude, I love this story too, hearing about like this, like the business owning and like divorce. Cause like whenever I was listening to the record, the opening line of Just Breathe is fuck this fucking shit. And I was just loving that so much because it's like the most cathartic opening to a record imaginable, considering the 2020, 2021 era that humanity has just endured essentially. So
Yeah,
I loved it,
and
man.
still enduring. It's not
Yeah, I
over
love
yet,
it.
this transition.
Yeah. Let's talk about drums for a little while. I'm super curious because George from Propagandy cites you frequently as one of his favorite and most influential drummers. And so in the forthcoming Jason Lamb and Paul Prescott book on No Means No, George from Propagandy is quoted. He says, I like the fact that John Wright had an extra tom and that he did all this different stuff to make it sound like he had a second kick drum or a cheater pedal. I could also never really grasp how he gets such a powerful stroke on his snare with that traditional grip, especially the fast punk stuff. And when I read George's words, because George's one of my favorite drummers, as are you. So whenever he
And
wrote
George is a
that,
great drummer.
oh, amazing. And whenever I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, the way that Jord emulates double kick without it being double kick is really fascinating. Like you can hear it on the outros to songs like Nailing Descartes to the Wall, the outro to A Speculative Fiction. It always is like, is he playing a double kick pedal? So you and him have that in common, and he got that from you. And so I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit about like the style that you kind of feel like you've developed over the last like 35, 40 years in your own playing that became so influential on George's own playing that we've come to love in Propagandy.
Well, I'm not sure how George started playing drums, but I started typically in elementary school, playing in the school band. And I went through the school band program from grade 6 to grade 12. I feel very lucky because a lot of schools, struggle to have music and arts programs. But it was a big, it was definitely a thing in the 70s. Every school had a band, and of course, I wanted to be in it. And when I was in grade 6, so what's that? I don't know, 1970. I can't remember. Um, I, came at, we will go at the beginning of the school year, we go into the band room and, who wants to be in the band? Well, we all want to be in the band. Okay. And who wants to be the drummer or who wants to play drums?
Yeah.
And of course, about 20 hands go in the air because everyone wants to play the drums. And he goes, oh, okay, well, everyone can't play the drums. So who here has a drum? And I had a snare drum. So I was one of a handful of people that, yeah, I got a drum. Okay, you're the drummers. And that's how it started. Now, my band leader at that time was an old jazz guy. And I don't even remember his name, but that's how he was brought up. And we were all not allowed to play match grip. So, no, this is how you hold the drumsticks. And it was like, oh, okay. And so that was that. I never played any other way. And then went through school and, being a teenager was listening to sort of pop rock and stuff in the 70s as well, but really loving to play in the jazz band. And playing swing music, or trying to as a teenager, as kids.
Yeah.
And I really loved it and got to see some great man. I saw, Count Basie, and I saw Buddy Rich and Thad Jones, Mel Lewis, some of these big bands. I love that stuff. And I still do. I just love that music. And so that was sort of, in throughout my teens, learning to play the drums. That's kind of what the stuff I was playing. But this is, of course, in the latter half of the 70s, and my brother is 8 years older than me, and he moves back home, I think around 78 or something. So I'm about 16 years old, I guess. And he brings in the Sex Pistols and the Ramones and DOA and these he's like totally into punk rock now and playing these songs, and I'm listening to this stuff going, oh, okay, Devo, I just didn't understand it. And now Devo quickly became my all-time favorites. And so suddenly I was, and he wanted to record. He bought a TAC 4-track tape deck, which at the time, this was pretty state-of-the-art home recording. It was a very, very high quality deck, and the for a home recording, you could overdub on it. And I was like, oh my God, 4 tracks, you can make it into 6. Holy crap. And so we started, and he was writing, and we just started playing music together, literally in the living room, and recording, and I just got hooked. I mean, totally hooked. Like, this is amazing. I love to record music. And then starting to, listening to his music that he was really digging, but I was still totally in the mindset of jazz and the stuff I was playing at school. But then he was like, in 1979, I think he said, look, let's go see DOA. They're playing up at the University of Victoria. This is all in Victoria, by the way, at the time. And I worked at that university too, and they were playing in the Commons Block building where I worked and my brother worked, where the students that lived there came to eat, and they would sometimes put on music in there. And DOA played with the Dish Rags, and they were like Vancouver punk, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go see them. I'd listen to the Prisoner and 13 single and go, oh, this is pretty good, I guess. And we went, and I'd never seen anything like this in my life.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I'd never seen a truck music. I'd never seen a drummer play that fast, like a kick drum pedal moving that fast. And of course the rugby team showed up to give them trouble, right? Just there to be troublemakers and hooligans, and DOA, of course, were all super punk rock and fuck you, and they were getting at it, but it was ferocious because I mean they almost broke out in fights, but it didn't quite. And I'm sitting on a table like right beside the stage watching this kind of chaos, and DOA just kept playing, and the more, like, I don't know, Randy Rampage, a beer was thrown at him and it smashed on his bass and he cut his fingers and there was blood, and then and then Chuck was like, Chuck, who was actually a giant wimp, he was like, he picking up one of his cymbal stands like fuck you, blah, 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 blah. And then they would just go into another song.
Yeah.
and it was like, oh my God. I mean, this is amazing just because of the energy. And here I am, a testosterone filled teenage boy, and like, holy crap, this is great. And that was that.
Nice.
I was into playing that kind of music. So when you say, like, how did that translate to the drums? Well, now I'm, I want to play that fast. I want to hit that hard. I want to be part of that energy. And so that's essentially was the driving force. Just giving her on the drums.
I love that you didn't really change your style and the way that you played after finding punk and starting to make music with Rob. It sounds like the ways that you were taught just really were solidified within you, but that you wanted to expand beyond that. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, when you play jazz drums, it's not just the backbeat. You're not just a drum machine. And I wasn't always, I certainly was not the best drummer around by any stretch. In school, there was always someone better than me. And technically, but I approached the instrument, the way I interpreted drums was as a musical instrument. And so you're not just hitting things to keep rhythm, you're hitting things that are there because they're musically appropriate. And then, so when Robbie and I started, like, okay, well, if we're going to be a band, we don't know any guitar players to play with. We didn't start out thinking we want to be a two-piece. It was like we started being a two-piece because that's all we had. So, okay, go ahead. Let's write some songs. We're going to be a band. Let's write some songs. So Robbie wrote that first batch of NoMeansNo songs, specifically for bass and drums, because there's nothing else to fill in. So he would set up a riff, and it would be very repetitive. I think he was really getting into PIL at that time, and so the drums just had to be interesting and had to do something else than just boom tap behind it.
Yeah.
At least that was what I was thinking. And then the words were very important because they weren't obscured by the music. And so the drumming would be there to help drive home or deliver the feeling of the lyrics and the singing. And so it was very much a dynamic driven way of writing because there wasn't a lot to work with except dynamics. So that's kind of how that all started. And yes, the fact that I'd grown up playing kind of just more traditional style jazz drumming that I wasn't particularly good at, I was able to translate that into or bring those characteristics to punk rock drumming, and never lost sight of the fact that the drums are there to express the energy, not always the feeling, but the energy. So how you arrange drumming is very deliberate. Everything I do is incredible. It's deliberate. There's a reason. So that's kind of how that all fell together. It was really a sort of a nice set of circumstances.
Nice.
When Andy finally joined the band, we'd always wanted to have a guitar and then start building from there. And then Andy was a consummate frontman. I mean, he was such a good singer and performer. And he was also a percussionist when he was in school, just like me, and he was a percussionist. He had picked up the guitar and learned how to play that, but he had an incredible sense of rhythm. And since he was kind of the anti-guitar player in some way, um, did not want to sound typical. That whole percussive side of him was a big part of the beginnings of NoMeansNo in the mid '80s when we were moving forward as a three piece.
Amazing. Okay, so I want to talk about something else too. I want to talk a little bit about the record One, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's the first No Means No record I ever heard.
that's a
And
hell of an introduction.
dude, even though like I like it now, but when I was 14, it totally didn't click with me. I was like listening to like Fat Records bands and you know what I mean, like Epitaph.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
the guy who recorded my middle school band's first album told me that his favorite band was No Means No. So when I went to Vintage Vinyl in St. Louis, the only album for sale was One, and I bought it, and I was so confused by it, and I was like that I didn't listen to No Means No again until I was like 26. Okay. And
What the
so
hell is this crap?
dude, I was not ready for that. Like, if it would have been like World Hit of the World, if it would have been Ausfahrt, which wasn't even out then, you know what I mean? If it would have been records like that, I would have been fine. But One put me off of No Means No for like 12 years. It was hilarious. But I recently was listening to an interview with Jord that he did during the pandemic, where he talked about his favorite desert island records. And the podcast is called Music for the Quarantined Soul, if anybody wants to check it out. But Jord said, quote, if No Means No is in the punk category, then they are my favorite band. And then in discussing One, he talks about how the record has like a long song quality that he appreciates. And to me, like your Propaganda, to me, Propaganda and No Means No share a characteristic where you have parts of songs that feel like movements instead of an ordinary verse, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus structure. I
Yep.
wonder if you can tell me a little bit about your own explorations and thoughts of song structure, long songs, stuff like that over the years, because it's really fascinating. Because you even have long songs on the new record too.
Yeah, yeah, we've never been afraid of long songs. Even you go back to Small Parts, Exiled and Destroyed, or even Mr. Happy, couple of pretty fucking long songs on those records. Never been afraid of them. In fact, they're, as I was saying, if you when you approach the dynamics of a song, then it's the shorter songs are there's less time to develop anything,
Yeah.
you know um so and one of the other things, at least from me, from my perspective, growing up in the '70s, it dawned on me a couple of years ago how much I was influenced by television television
Hmm.
theme music from TV, from movies. And it really, I just really realized how much of the way I arrange music was all influenced by that, of what was around me. And even the influence, even my brother and sister, like my brother Rob, 8 years older, my sister 10 years older, they were buying all the singles and saw the music from the '60s and the early '70s. Again, sometimes music with very complicated arrangements, long songs. Um, that was all there in the background of my life. And so approaching, like when you say One, that's a hell of a
Yeah.
record to drop into, considering how we got there.
Oh, I
I
know.
think it's, I put it up there as my second favorite No Means No album. I think
Amazing.
my favorite album is Why Do They Call Me Mr. Happy?
That's my favorite
And
too.
there you go.
Yeah.
And then One, probably my second, as a thing, not the individual songs, but as a record. The
Yeah.
way the record starts and ends, the songs that are put together, the tone that it generates. Wrong is our most popular album, and it flows through really well, but it's more of a pop album in that respect. It's like uh, it just punch them in the face and keep punching them in the face until the end.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? With throw some humor in, some variety. Whereas Mr. Happy and One were just a little more like, yeah, it's sitting by yourself with the headphones on or the stereo crank kind of albums. It's like that just songs going naturally from one into the other, and some of the writing too. Like Our Town is possibly one of the best songs Robbie ever wrote.
Yeah.
Not because it's really about anything, and it's just creates you can't help but have an image in your head. You can't help but feel something about the environment that he's creating, um, and sort of the humanity of it.
Yeah.
Um, um, Graveyard Shift was a riff that I had written, and that was a collaboration of my brother and I. Um, and I don't even really know sort of where that song came from or why. But again, it's like taking a feeling, and my brother was brilliant at it. He could take a feeling that I was putting into, because I'm not much of a lyricist, but I like music to have drama. It's to drama and comedy. The classic Greek um, um, dichotomy, and I think that's so important, and that is what really connects with people. And that building a song, like, and Propaganda does it too. They can be very dramatic,
Yeah.
which is what I think that's what people are that's what's getting them. That's
Oh,
what's
absolutely.
grabbing them. 100%.
Yeah.
You don't need that to have great music and to connect to music, but it is a great way of doing things musically. And that, from classical music, where and that stuff is all drama. There's and so that characteristic was always kind of there in the writing and mostly in the arranging. So
Yeah.
one would be a hell of an album just to jump into if you're a kid who thinks going to be going to rock your socks.
Yeah, dude.
Uh,
It was a
it
wild time.
but
It was
it does in its own way. But
yeah.
yeah, if you're kind of jumping from Fat Records to No Means No One, it's like, what?
Yeah. Well, interestingly, in that same interview, I'm glad you brought up the songs that you did, because George said that Graveyard Shift, Our Town, and Under the Sea are three of his favorite No Means No songs ever. And you kind of touched really nicely on a couple of those about what makes them special to you. So that's pretty cool. So thank you for touching on those individual ones too.
Well, yeah, and they like Under the Sea. Here's a trivia question: which Strangler song is that ripped off from?
Oh man, that's a great trivia question that I have no idea.
Well, that's a total Stranglers ripoff, that one. But also a little too high. A little too high kind of harkens right back to that kind of jazzy. Uh, it's a very 70s song, although you might not think that listening to it, because it's a bit harried and crazy. But that song was recorded almost entirely live, off the floor in the studio, just to have that feel. There was a little bit of guitar overdubbing, but that was it.
Nice.
And yeah, it was off the floor, just to get that that style, that feel.
Yeah. Um, in that same interview that I mentioned from Jordan, that Music for the Quarantine Soul podcast, also he talked about seeing No Means No at the Royal Albert in Winnipeg when he was a kid. He talked about seeing the shows when they were way over capacity. Todd brought up seeing shows in Regina of No Means No. What do you remember about playing shows in Winnipeg with the band in like the 80s?
Oh God, that's going back. Well, we played the West End Community Center a number of times, which was a lovely place to play. And Winnipeg, like my uncle lived in Winnipeg for a long time, and he was a bass player. Well, he was in the military, like my entire father's side of the family. They're all from Saskatchewan, from Tisdale,
Nice.
actually.
I've been there.
Yeah, there you have it, land of rape and honey. Although I
Yeah, it
think they
is.
decided to change the motto.
Yeah, yeah. I've been there because I spent some time in Nipawin, Saskatchewan, near Tobin Lake, for a
Oh yeah,
couple of years. So I know the area kind of well.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, of course, didn't grow up in Saskatchewan myself, but my father's family did, and they all joined the forces to get the hell out of Saskatchewan.
Mm,
Either that or be a farmer. Like, no, no, I'm going to join the forces.
yeah.
So, and my uncle was a clarinet player in the forces, and but he was a bass player and a jazz guy, and they lived for years in Winnipeg, and it was a major musical hub. Back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, it was huge. If you were anybody, you played in Winnipeg. I don't really
Mm,
know the clubs or anything, but it's always been a very, very vibrant music town, and you could tell that. The punk rock scene was kind of late in the game for maybe Winnipeg's history, musical history, but even rock and roll in the '70s and stuff, it was always big time. And what I recall about Winnipeg is just really good shows. Like,
yeah.
what was the first one we played? Oh my god, it had like stalactites from the ceiling that if you pogoed too high, you'd impale yourself.
Oh man.
God, what was that place called? I can't remember.
Oh,
And oh, sorry, I'm an old man now. I
that's
can't
totally fine. I have
remember these things.
Yeah, and I can just like hear listeners from Winnipeg like right now like screaming through their headphones like it's called blah blah blah, and I'm just
Yeah.
like I'm sorry I can't hear you because you're not on the call with me.
And yeah, I think we were like crashed at the Stretch Marks house, and I think it was the Stretch Marks, and we were driving from, I don't know, somewhere in Saskatchewan. We had, of course, 3 days off, so we tried to camp in Wood Buffalo National Park, and it was April and not very warm or nice.
Yeah.
And it was, fuck it, we're just going to go to Winnipeg, and we spent a couple extra nights there, hosted by wonderful people, and in those in that time, traveling around, our first tour through the States, we went out for about 2.5 months, and we never played a Friday or a Saturday night. Like,
Mm,
you know what I mean? It was like the shows we got were midweek shows, often 2 or 3 days off, and you just ended up staying with people
yeah.
and meeting a lot of people. And we soon discovered that if you do their dishes, they love you forever.
And then you have a friend for life.
Exactly. They can't remember the show, but hey, yeah, those guys did my dishes.
Yeah. Amazing.
Winnipeg was kind of that. Our first trip through was kind of that way, playing Winnipeg in the winter, playing Winnipeg in the summer. For the Royal Albert was Spectrum. I think we played once, the big shoe in Winnipeg. Always good, good music, always good audiences. Yeah.
Amazing. Let's move on to some comments from Todd Kowalski from Propagandy. In an
Hmm.
interview in 2021 for the Thanks List, Todd was asked, what's your favorite way of discovering new music these days? Is it mainly Spotify or perhaps just browsing records or even live during normal times? So Todd was asked that, and his answer was, I guess the funnest way is live when you're just blown away. When I was a kid, I'd mostly not have the record and go see the band, like SNFU and No Means No. So Todd's quote resonated with me because the way I fell in love with No Means No was live in London in the UK at Dingwalls in 2009 when the club was so hot that Tom had to leave the stage and you and Rob played Kill Everyone Now as a two-piece. And that was the day that No Means No became like super important to me. Like I'm really late to the game as far as your music goes. But as you get back out there again into the world of live music with Dead Bob, with this lifetime of experiences behind you, what are you kind of looking forward to about getting back out there?
Uh, well, uh, certainly looking forward to and hoping that we're a great band, and that we can still put on that kind of energy and musical experience that people like yourselves will go home and remember and be very happy they went and saw, um, because that's fun for me. And I enjoy a show for all the same reasons that the audience is enjoying the show.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, I hope that we can deliver. And also, there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of folks haven't seen in a long time. A lot of, a lot of good people. And it'll be very nice to reconnect with people, around the world, I suppose. Certainly North America and Europe. Um, and Yeah, I mean those are the kind of that's what I really always liked about touring was the people you met and hung out with and shows, exciting shows. I mean, it's not like every show we ever played was the best in the world, but we had a pretty good track record. There was not a lot of duds, a few, but so that's kind of what I'm looking forward to the most. Driving, uh, not so much.
Yeah. How's the body going to be in a van these days? I
I
can't
don't know.
sit,
I'm gonna
man.
find out.
Yeah. I
And
just
the
can't stay
last time I
limber.
drove over the lakehead, I said, "This is the last time I'm ever fucking driving the lakehead." As lovely a drive it is,
Yeah.
as beautiful as it is, after I don't know, 15, 20 times, I've kind of done that. Uh, so we'll see about the nuts and bolts of touring. And now, of course, I don't know. Everything's changed, of course, a lot. Well, I mean, not really, I suppose. But just the landscape, the amount of bands out there playing, the state of corporate versus independent clubs, the cost of everything is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
The last time I bought a cymbal, it was $150.
Mm.
It's that cymbal is now $500.
Jeez, man.
Yeah. And I'm not kidding. The last
I
time I
believe it.
bought a set of drumsticks was $7. I just bought them. They were $12 or $20 a pair
Wow.
for drumsticks. Uh, just those things. I mean, it's just brutal. What bands and so bands are economizing everywhere because it's not as though. I mean, yeah, there's musicians and bands that make a lot of money, but generally speaking, they don't. And it's more and more difficult just to afford to be out there playing. Ticket prices have gone up for sure. I think $20 is pretty much normal now. Certainly in Canada. I don't know everywhere in the world, but yeah, it's hard to make money, and now it's hard to sell music because obviously people can stream everything for free. Uh, However, that seems to be changing too. I think if you've got fans, they wanna support, and I think bands that have a good rep and are doing well on the road are selling merch directly, which is all a good thing. Um, so just yeah, it's going to be a bit different. We'll see. Hopefully, it'll be fun. Hopefully, we get shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still awaits. It's still to be seen how this is all going to unfold. We have 9 shows booked, of
It's a
which
giant experiment. Love it.
yeah, and we haven't been on stage as a band yet. So it's this is entirely new territory for me. No Means No, the Hanson Brothers, all that, the Show Business Giants was all a very long, simmering process. This is, oh, I did a thing. Now we're going to play it live.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and your tunes are not easy. You've really stuck to the history of what you've been able to create and not dialing it or not phoning it in. So Um,
Well, yeah, and of course the thing is writing all this music and recording it without any thought of playing it live.
yeah,
And I was like, oh no, how the fuck are we gonna play this live?
yeah,
So like literally, like I just the opening, the next album's done, and well, pretty much, and I've written a song, and I think it's the last song, probably the last Rob and myself, our collaboration. It's his words, a demo that he had written 12 years ago, that I liked the words and I liked his singing and his and whatnot, but the musical structure wasn't it, it was one of these demos. Oh, we got to work on this one, and
yeah.
never went, and we never did. So I did, and I completely changed the music, but kept the singing almost exactly the same.
Nice.
And yeah, and but here I've written a song that I cannot sing and play at the same time. And I've done this. It's like I can't sing and play this stuff really that well at the same time. I'd vowed that the next band I play in, I'm not doing any singing. And of course, what have I done?
You're the
I'm
lead
now the
singer.
lead singer.
You're like Duncan from Snuff.
Exactly.
Oh
He's my
man.
inspiration. If he can do it, I can do it.
Oh yeah.
And
Well,
he's
if
been
you
doing it forever, nonstop.
did you ever listen to the punk band from Quebec City called Mute by any chance?
Mute. No,
Mute.
no.
Listen, there's a record called The Raven by a band called Mute, and their drummer is the lead singer, and they're kind of like a very technical punk band, like Strung Out or Propagandy. Um,
Yeah.
and their drummer is the lead singer. So if you're looking for some more inspiration on crazy singing while playing drums, like just go on YouTube and watch some videos of the band Mute from Quebec City because they are awesome.
Wow. I'll
Um,
check them out for
and they're
sure.
Canadian, so it's awesome.
Are they still around?
Oh heck yeah, they're an incredible band. They're a current band. All of their records are good. They have a record called Thunder Blast that's really great. A record called The Raven, which is awesome. You'll get a real big kick out of it, I promise.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Um,
Well, because that brings actually to another point is that,
yeah,
like Tom is out, Tom Holliston is out playing right now. He's
I
in
saw
Europe.
he did Two Lips, Two Lungs, One Tongue acoustic.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. He does his own thing. I mean, he's a great songwriter in his own right. He was the Show Business Giants, at least the main songwriter. And I did so much music with that man. And, uh, okay, where was I going with? I got off an
Something about,
attack. And
something about
anyway,
playing with Tom.
well, what it is that not so much playing with Tom, but getting out and playing. Oh, I remember now. Like Tom had approached me a couple of times some years ago that Rebellion Fest keeps asking for the Hanson Brothers, so we could go and do Rebellion Fest. And I'm like, no, 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 I don't want to play the Hanson Brothers. I don't, I was up to my eyeballs with the bar and 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 so fast forward, and now it's like, okay, I'm sort of reintroducing myself to the music scene in some ways, and I just see this sort of geriatric punk rock circuit out there. Bands like, okay, I used to, when we went to punk rock shows when I was playing them in the 80s and going to see other bands, we were playing with and for our peers. And now I'm like, now it's kids are going to go see Granddad play some
Hmm.
music. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it just seemed kind of odd to me. And I'm not nostalgic about music. Um, I love all the music that I've loved. I still love bands that I loved in the past, and I certainly still love the energy of all that music. But I'm not nostalgic. Like, I don't want to, go down memory lane with No Means No. You know what I mean? So when I'm doing Dead Bob and playing, it's like, this is, although some of the songs are old, but it's current for me. This is all new stuff. This is the next album is quite is going to be different than the first album. And I have no fear of exploring where music can go. And uh, so, kind of the idea of getting back out on the road, it's like I don't want to be caught up in the nostalgia
Yeah.
and the recycling of music that happened a long time ago. Um, not to, I'm not trying to take away from it. I'm not trying to undermine that in any way. I think it's wonderful. I think there's lots of kids that uh, or younger people, I suppose. I'm hearing stories all the time that they want to experience that. They especially the ones that had COVID ripped 3 years out of their lives right at that time. When they want to
Yeah.
go headbang somewhere, right? And they're just itching to feel that energy. And I think that's awesome because I think music really started petering off energy wise. Um, as different trends of music come and go, and it's nice to see punk rock has that kind of endearing quality or enduring and endearing quality of energy and emotion and something behind it other than just partying.
Yeah.
That's there, and kids now can feel that just like kids did 40 years ago, and probably before that. I don't know. I have no experience of what it was like to be a kid in the 50s, so I can't relate to that, but I can relate to what it was like to be a kid in the 70s and 80s. And so it's awesome that that kind of energy, that kind of musical energy is engaging people. But for me personally, it's like I think of this as new. What I'm
Yeah.
doing is not nostalgic. Like, Dead Bob, this lifelike. Okay, yeah, the title track is an old song from the 90s, but not done like the old song. I'm not trying to resurrect that. I would just, that was never even intended to be released. That was just a pet project of mine. Oh, this was written as a pop song. I think I'm going to record it like a pop song. And I want it to be not asexual. What's the word? That's not just male voices through it,
Right.
right? That to have a choral effect, more of a people sound. And it was so great to have Selena Martin sing for me for that song. She's such an awesome singer, and so it's bringing a new, just presenting it in a new way. Not maybe musically new, but for me, just that was another way. And so I don't consider it to be old music, and I don't consider what I'm doing to be nostalgic music. It's just okay. It's obviously echoes of No Means No. I'm a product of 40 years of playing music, 40 plus years, obviously.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm doing this is because you know I just want to keep doing what I've always done, which
Yeah.
is playing something that's new to me, that's that is hopefully relevant,
Yeah.
like that speaks to something now. Like you say, that opening line, that you hit the nail right on the head. That's the whole point of that opening line.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
it was just that. It's just like fuck,
yeah.
you know, fuck
Yeah.
it, fuck my life. My life in the last year has just gone totally sideways, and fuck, the world is going sideways. And it's done this before.
Oh my God. I
This is
bet that,
nothing new,
yeah. And I
but
bet that line felt so good to scream into a
oh
microphone
fuck
in the
yeah.
studio. Holy
Oh,
shit. That
totally.
was so
No,
awesome.
I'm
Um,
not gonna lie. It does. It
you
feels
know,
great.
and yeah, I want to bring in another quote from the band. I reached out, I emailed David Gillis, who played guitar in Propaganda for a long time, because No Means No and Rush are his two favorite bands, according to what I've been told. And
Yeah, Rush.
I
There we go.
I asked David what No Means No meant to him, and he said, I've loved this band since the moment I heard them. Their playfulness with music has always been a massive influence. And everything you've just said kind of touches on that. like about the playfulness and the fun and the humor within your music over the years. Does that make sense? Does that resonate?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can't, you know, it's like I say, the drama. Without the comedy, it doesn't mean anything. Not in the human experience, from my perspective, from the way I approach things. Um, that's how everybody lets their guard down and allows the world to enter them. Anger and drama and fear is how you keep the world out of your life.
Yeah.
Humor is how you let the world in.
Yeah.
And humorless people I have no time for. And it's a bit of the woke thing too. It's like, okay, I get the intentions here, but there's so much fucking humorless. It's just, it's I don't know how to describe it. Where's the joy?
Mm-hmm.
and and that's for the haters. A hater is a hater, and there's no joy in it. And this is why I ask myself, like, why? Like, it takes so much energy to be angry. It takes so much energy to hate something. Like, what's the upside? What are you getting out of this energy that you're expending? If it takes a lot of energy to like yesterday, I had to fucking hoist about a 6 foot large hemlock log onto a trailer because my chainsaw had run out of gas, and I was there, and I just wanted to take this thing, and
I'm
I
just
sort of
envisioning
worked it.
this now.
Okay, I had to work out how to get it in the trailer because I couldn't lift it.
Yeah.
Right? There's just no fucking way. I had to work how to balance on it, roll it onto another log, balance and tip it, and get the end into the trailer, and blah blah blah, and work with. I've done a bunch of milling up here, and sort of got used to manhandling giant fucking heavy things that you can't actually move without thinking about it. And but it's like a tremendous amount of energy I'm putting into something. And what's the upside? Well, now I've got firewood. This is I'm expending all this energy for a reason, for a good reason. And anger and hatred and fear, it's expending it's all this energy. And what's the upside? What do you get out of it? This is what I don't understand. I just don't understand what how it serves someone to do that. We all get angry and we all get pissed off, for sure, but it's got to go. You got, okay, it happened, you got to let it go. And if you stay that way, it's just an utter waste of time. If nothing else, you know what I mean? So humor is how you let go of that shit.
Yeah.
100%. That's how you get rid of it.
I love it. Well, John, I've just got one more question for you. First of all, thank you so much for humoring me on this interesting interview structure that I've woven together from years of propaganda quotes in the media. And I gave you a little bit of homework for our interview, and I told you to listen to the song "A Speculative Fiction" by Propaganda and let me know what you thought about it. So, did you do your homework, and what did you think of the song?
Yes, it's a great song. And again, it touches on the time. I mean, Propaganda touches on the times, from the 90s, like a lot of bands touched on now, back in the 90s, and growing up in, sort of forecasting a little bit. You take that song, and on one hand, it's kind of romantic, but and you can take that song, and it's a template you can drop anywhere. And but the problem is, of course, is you can drop it anywhere, and any side can be that side.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Now, to take it from the frustration that is in that song, that's what I relate to. It's the frustrated. Propaganda has this very, very frustrated look at things, and I do too. That's what I connect to with that band. And that song is another iteration of those feelings. That's what I'm getting from it.
Yeah.
Sort of the world piling on, but the world piling on piles in all directions all the time, and so it's like what No Means No. Well, my brother especially, mostly, is trying to take a step back from the piling on, and seeing it from how one piles onto their own lives or the lives of those around them. Not so much on a geopolitical scale, but on a personal level. And you take that song and you take the idea of the uncompromising idea, and what I really appreciate, what you obviously the comments from the members of the bands, and that is about not compromising what you feel is right for you, and that you want out of that a positive effect on the people around you. I mean, that is an uncompromising band.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they don't play.
They don't fucking pull any punches. I don't agree with everything that comes out of their mouths, but
Yeah.
That's what makes them kind of cut above. You know what I mean? That's what makes them stand out, which is what I admire. And my brother was the same way, but not so much in sort of overt politics.
Mm-hmm.
But like that song there was another song actually I wanted to talk about. What was it? Love. It was from their second album, Love.
Without Love.
Without Love. To me, that's more that song strikes me more because it's getting more to the heart of where these ideas are coming from. I mean, it's one thing to have ideas and constructs and criticizing constructs and the politics as a construct, but it's all that is driven from somewhere else, and it's not necessarily your intellect, but that song starts to focus on the heart of the matter, to if you pardon the pun, and that's kind of where we've always focused, at least tried to, and so yeah,
I love it.
That's kind of what I was thinking about that song, and of course the other as well.
Yeah, nice. Well, John, you want to promote anything out there for the people listening? Tell everybody what to check out, because there's a lot going on.
You're down in Missouri?
I'm in Buffalo, New York.
Oh, you're in Buffalo. All right, Buffalo. Sorry, I don't know why I had somebody said something about Missouri to me.
I'm from Missouri originally, so
yes. Oh yes. Okay, Buffalo.
I saw you at the Firebird in St. Louis in 2012. Whenever you were selling the old tour EPs.
Oh, with
Ford Pier opening up.
That's right, Ford Pier. See that for Ford Pier going way back, eh? Yeah. So, well, just Dead Bob. Of course, I need to also thank all those that helped me out. Selena Martin, as I mentioned, and Ford contributed lyrics to a song, and my brother, of course, two of the songs the lyrics were written by him, and Byron Slack from Invasives. Do you know the Invasives?
A little bit, but I've heard you talk about them on Matthew Jordan and Michelle's podcast, so I've been planning on checking them out.
Oh, absolutely! You're gonna love them. You're gonna love them. And they I don't know what album they're on now, 6, 7. And they're all strong. They just released one earlier this year. They don't play much as a band now. Touring this typical, they toured and got nowhere. And I don't understand why, because they've got the sound, and it's great songwriting, it's great playing, and they're great live. So it's like, I just don't get it. But and Byron has played drums in the Hanson Brothers with us before, and he collaborated on one song with the Robots with me at writing. So very happy to be working with Byron and his partner, who I only just met last year. I didn't know her previously. Christy Liaudet came and played some horns, and she's in the band with Dead Bob. So Ford has taken it upon himself to learn how to play the trombone, and she plays the trumpet. So we're going to have some horns going. And Ford is playing primarily keyboards in Dead Bob, Myron on guitar, and also on the album, my son popped in, played some acoustic guitar, which was awesome. And I hope I'm not forgetting anybody on the record. And the bass player is an old friend from a band called Pigment Vehicle, who are also a crazy band from Victoria from back in the day. And he hasn't picked up the bass in 25 years, but he lives right here up in London with me. So, he was my business partner at the pub, and I helped him build his coffee shop business when I first moved up here. So we've gotten to be good friends. I always knew him for years, but we've gotten to be good friends.
Yeah.
So those are the folks all playing with me, and hopefully we'll be out east and come and see you down in Buffalo.
Hey man, I also have, and I do Airbnb at my house, and I've been trying to get some word out there for bands ever coming through Buffalo, that if you ever are in a band coming through Buffalo and you get in touch with me, we can work out a way where you can stay at my place. So if you guys come through here, please let me know, and I'll put you
absolutely.
up.
You got room for 7?
We can make it work. Yep, we can make it work.
Yeah, that's the other thing, being a 3-piece, obviously a little bit simpler. Now Dead Bob is a 5-piece. Remember, I was talking about how fucking expensive shit is these days.
Yeah.
Well, it gets even more onerous with these large bands, and and it's hard on promoters. Like, how many do I have to feed? Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also Jason and Paul's book, No Means No, From Obscurity to Oblivion, coming out soon from PM Press, and also the Alternative Tentacles reissue series, which has gotten its first 2 with Dad's 7-inch and the Wrong LP reissues coming soon. So, I mean, you got a lot going on.
Well, yeah, it seems like everything is kind of converging. A lot of these things have been in the works for years. And I approached ATM 6 years ago about doing this.
Yeah.
It's taken a long time for it to get rolling. And of course, Jason has been writing this book for several years now. And a lot of Dead Bob music stewing, for years, and everything seems to be coming together at the right time. The iron is hot, as they say.
Yeah. Well, John, you're my sort of second interview I think I've done over the life of this podcast, where I'm interviewing people who directly inspired the work of what Propagandy does with their punk and thrash and metal and prog influences all converging into the sound that they have. The other was Rob Urbanati and Joe Rico from the thrash band Sacrifice. They were on the podcast talking about some songs and the ways that their music has inspired Propagandy. So it's really cool to kind of have this influences sort of mini series taking shape, if you will, with Rob and Joe from Sacrifice, and you, John Wright from No Means No and Dead Bob. I'm just super grateful you were willing to come and hang out with me and have this sort of off the beaten path style of interview. It means a real lot that you were willing to go on this journey with me, John.
Well, I totally appreciate you reaching out, and obviously all the very kind words from the fellas in Propagandy. It's wonderful, and that's all kind of I don't know how to say it. It's lovely. It's lovely to know that you're up doing something that really means something to you, and that you're enjoy doing a lot, that other people also enjoy what you're doing, and are not just sort of there and gone, but actually pay attention. So it's great, and I really appreciate talking to you.
John Wright, No Means No, Dead Bob. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.